Welcome to Missouri Sports Talk. I'm your host, Cameron Staley, and today I'm here with
Easton Amelia.
Easton. We've got another NFL video, week 2. So I want to say that I went 10-2, right?
I think I went 8-4.
Okay.
Really disappointing showing. I got to lock in.
Hey, I think 8-4 is okay. So I took a lot of blowouts. Not a lot of blowouts. So we will go over that. Let's go ahead and get the AFC scoreboard up on the screen. Obviously, you see top left on your screen right now. The Chiefs and the Ravens. This was the Thursday night game, the NFL kickoff. Chiefs end up winning by 7 points, and it comes with a little bit of controversy. Isaiah Likely, he is just inches out of bounds. His toe is on the white, and the touchdown gets called back. The game is over. The Chiefs win by 7.
I just wish they could have put out the scenario if they would have gone for it. I think they were, and I just want to know if they'd make it, like if that would have made actually a difference if they would have won. Also, I was listening in the car, and I was like, come on, please don't score a touchdown, because I predicted Chiefs size 7, so I thought it'd be a great start to the season.
So you got an exact hit this week.
Yeah.
All right.
Just one, though.
Texans and Colts. Texans end up winning 29-27. I had the Texans by 23 in this one. I'm pretty low on the Colts, I must say, but I thought the Texans would look just a little bit better. The defense was the one that was lacking. Of course, the offense ends up scoring 29. But, I have Danielle Hunter on my fantasy team. Luckily, I sat him on the bench because he had like one tackle this week. He was kind of a non-factor. O-line did pretty well. Colts end up losing. They've got an easier game this week. Not a crazy amount to say. Stephon Diggs ends up getting 2 touchdowns in his debut for the Texans.
Yeah, you really saw the two sides of Anthony Richardson. That one throw he made, you're like, this could be like future Hall of Famer type throw. He's on his back foot, launches it like 70 yards or something like that for a touchdown. And then you saw like a couple videos later, like of interceptions that are like, oh man, that read was not there. And that's what I'm really interested to see. How can he develop into that quarterback that the Colts want to franchise, or will he just make a flashy play here and then throw a bad pass and just like really balance it out?
Bills and Cards. I had the Bills. This is another blowout that I picked. Bills ended up winning 34-28 at home. The Cardinals ended up blowing a lead. They were up, 2 scores?
They were up by 2 scores. I was following that game because that was one of the ones we disagreed on. I thought the Cardinals were playing well, and they showed it out in the first half, and then they just lost all hope. They just when it rains, it pours, and they were never able to recover. Marvin Harrison only 1 catch at 4 yards. There's videos of him getting open. I feel like if they want to win, they're going to have to start giving him the ball the first-round draft pick.
Bengals and Patriots. This has to be the most interesting game of the week, maybe. The Patriots end up winning this game, and we both kind of had them around 3, 4, 5 wins this season, and they take out a team that we think is contending for a conference championship. So, 16-10 Patriots, if I didn't say that. This is not a New England shirt, by the way. This is Truman High School up in Independence. But anyways, the Patriots ended up winning this game, and they literally just got rid of Matt Judon, too. So I'm not really certain how they held the Bengals to 10 points.
The Bengals offense really wasn't there. I feel like losing T. Higgins, that was maybe a crucial part of their game plan, and Joe Burrow was really never able to recover. I mean, I kept watching the game, and it's just 3 and out. You're like, and then Patriots score, and you're like, oh no, this actually is going to be a Patriots victory, and it just kept getting closer to time. This Patriots team actually looked pretty good. I mean, Jacoby Brissett made a couple plays. You're like, okay, maybe he is actually a guy who will win some games and maybe make a wild card push.
Ramondre truly carried the offense, though. He had over 100 yards. He looked great. So the Dolphins and the Jags, Dolphins ended up winning this game 20-17. There's an exact pinpoint moment that I lost my fantasy week in this game. Around 10-yard line, I have Travis Etienne on my team. He gets the ball, and he fumbles it. I lose by 2 points. That lost fumble was -3. So,
RIP.
Yeah, so, obviously I don't want to just sit here and talk about fantasy all day, but that was, that is the spot that I'm blaming. I'm completely blaming my loss on Travis Etienne this week, but I'm going to bounce back. Anyways, Raheem Mostert looks terrible. He had like 8 yards. A-Chain looked okay. He's a little hurt. He's a game time decision this week. We don't fully know if he'll play. Raheem Mostert is out for the game. So Jeff Wilson, I want to say, is their third guy. He's kind of turning into the second guy, and now Raheem's kind of, the third string. So we'll see a lot of him in this game this coming week. But the Jags, it's really interesting. I'm just not certain about Trevor Lawrence.
Well, you're talking about fantasy. Tyreek Hill made it known he was back. That massive touchdown to find a way that really led them to the victory, tying the game up and then winning it with a field goal. I thought the Jaguars, they played well. They just, I feel like, fell apart near the end. I mean, they were controlling the game. It was in their hands, and then the bomb by Tua to Tyreek Hill really closed that off, and then they just couldn't stop him, and a field goal wins it. I feel like the Jags are sneaky, though. They saw some glimpses of where this team could make a playoff push.
So our game of the week that we chose was not the game of the week. This one was not close at all. The score doesn't even do it justice. The Cowboys win 33-17. That game felt a lot worse.
Yeah, that game was out of hand at halftime. The Cowboys were always a step in front. That defense, still crazy, and Michael Parsons, one of the best players in the league, made it known early on that he was back. Trevon Diggs found a way to get an interception on deflection pass. That game was good to watch, but I think Deshaun Watson was a step behind the entire defense. And I feel like, though, he did show glimpses of success. The, Jerry Jeudy touchdown, it really coming out of the halftime, but it really didn't impact the score whatsoever. You knew it really didn't have a feeling, but it was just good to see Jerry Jeudy on the board.
And it was really surprising seeing Amari Cooper play so bad. So we'll see how he bounces back. But something that we'll just glance over, don't want to talk about a whole lot, but Deshaun Watson gets another lawsuit, sexual misconduct lawsuit. If you guys don't know, he had like 20-something come up in like 2021, and somehow he got out of it. But they just like keep coming periodically. It's like making me think, is like Browns ownership trying to get him out of there? anyways, we won't go into conspiracies like that too bad. NFC scoreboard. Eagles versus Packers. This was a Friday night game. Not a whole lot of Friday night games during the year. The Eagles ended up getting this one done. Jordan Love gets injured. He's looking like he's going to be out like 2 to 5 weeks. I know they said 3 to 6, but they didn't put him on the IR, which is a four-game stay. So obviously he's expected to be back in 3 or 4 weeks in their eyes. Obviously, if it's worse and like he's not recovering well, obviously that they'll have him stay longer. But as of now, not on the IR. They played on a soccer field in Brazil for this one. First international game in Brazil. They're all slipping. Like, if you watch the game, I didn't, but, watching highlights, almost every single play, at least one person on that field slipped. So, not great. It ends up being pretty high scoring, but Jalen Hurts honestly did not look very good in this game.
No, Jalen Hurts did not. Sorry. Sorry. No, the Packers receiving core looked good, though. Jordan Love able to move the ball down the field, and when you saw him go down, you're like disappointed. You're like, he could have an MVP type year if he just continues that output. Now, the Eagles, I think, played enough to win. When you have Jalen Hurts in offense, Saquon, who just went crazy, back to his old Giants form, I feel like they can rely on him. And week in and week out varies. They can rely on A.J. Brown to make catches. They can rely on the heavy run game. They can rely on Devontae Smith. I feel like this offense has weapons all over the field that defenses are just going to have to find a way to stop, but I don't think you can.
The Buccaneers ended up defeating the Commanders 37-20. This is an interesting one. Baker absolutely ripped up the Commanders' defense. Dan Quinn, not the greatest debut as head coach in Washington. Jane Daniels did look okay, though.
Yeah, Jane Daniels got his first touchdown, and that's always big for a rookie. But really after that, didn't do really much. But the Buccaneers looked great. They looked like they could win that division easily, and you never know. They have a big game this week, and I'm really excited to see what Baker can do.
Mike Evans with 2 receiving touchdowns in that game. The one that you probably cared about the most, Seahawks versus Broncos. Rough game. Seahawks end up winning 26-20. Bo Nix threw about 3 or 4 passes in total, over 20 yards in his 40-something attempts. And one was picked, one was completed, and then the others were just incomplete. Bad game. He was hardly even throwing over the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and then I texted you the score 5-3. How often do you see that score? Broncos able to get 2 safeties, but their offense wasn't able to move the ball. Big turnovers. You just can't have field goals, and that's what the Broncos have had problems with, not scoring and capitalizing when defense plays well, and their defense played phenomenal. They gave them opportunities to win, but if you can't score touchdowns, it's hard to win the league. And the Seahawks, Geno Smith had made a heck of a run to take the lead, but then they did have 2 safeties. A good punt by the Broncos caused them to get a holding call in the end zone, and then Charbonnet got a negative 1 yard run for a safety. But other than that, that game really wasn't eventful, wasn't fun to watch. I was able to watch parts of it.
So Falcons versus Steelers. I was on a plane for this one, so I didn't really get to watch any of the 12 o'clock games, but Falcons looked awful. I watched some raw game film, probably about a minute or a minute and a half of just Kirk Cousins dropbacks, and he looks really timid. He's not taking far step backs. He's taking 2 steps and throwing right away, and they're all off target. He looked really bad. The Steelers, they did not score a touchdown at all in this game, yet still scored 18 points because they had 6 field goals by Boswell. So not only should he be Special Teams Player of the Week, he may be Offensive Player of the Week as well as a kicker. So, overall, very interesting game.
Yeah, the Falcons, their defense showed up, though. You saw they were able to capitalize and find a way for the Falcons to be in good position, but they just were unable to move the ball. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't get how you don't score an offensive touchdown and find ways to win. Especially this Bears game that I was watching that was chaotic. 24 points, 0 by your offense. I just think it's very interesting how that happens. But if you find a way to win, you find a way to win. And the Steelers probably are going to beat the Broncos this week. And then Justin Fields is announced the starter as well.
Okay, I didn't see that. So is Russ still injured, or is he healthy and Fields just getting the job?
I do not know.
Okay.
I was heard by a resource of one of my teammates, so they told me that. So I was like, come on, the storyline right there, Russ versus the Broncos.
Right. So 49ers and Jets, this is the Monday night game 2 days ago now when you're seeing this, if you're watching on Wednesday, of course. 49ers end up winning 32-19. Aaron Rodgers, it was his return. For coming back from an Achilles, he looked good. He did. I don't know. There's just something, the Jets defense is absolutely awful. And, that puts a lot of pressure on the Jets offense against a really, really amazing, probably even top 5 defense with the 49ers. So, overall, this game, it started off close, but, by the end, the score makes it seem a little closer than it was.
Yeah, I talked about this game. If Aaron Rodgers comes back against any other team, I feel like they can pull out a win, but the 49ers are just an all-around one of the best teams. Even without Christian McCaffrey, most teams lose a star like that. They're scrambling, trying to make a new game plan, but the 49ers just plugged and chugged and found a way to easily win this one in dominant fashion.
Right, so CMC, of course, was out in this game, so that makes it a little more impressive. Jordan Mason comes in, first start ever. And then he had 140 rushing yards?
Yeah, he helps my fantasy team, Thank you for that, Christian McCaffrey goes down. You just add a 49ers running back. I guess that's all you got to do.
Right. So this was our NFC game of the week. Sunday night, it definitely lived up to it. It wasn't exactly like that Browns and Cowboys game. Going to overtime, Lions and Rams, Matt Stafford back in Detroit again. Throughout the rest of Matt Stafford's career, this is going to feel like a rivalry game every single time. The Lions, they drive down the field in overtime, and they don't give the ball back to the Rams. Don't give them a chance in overtime. 26-20, David Montgomery with a game-winning touchdown.
What I'm curious about is how the Lions won when Amon-Ra didn't produce. Then you look at Jamison Williams. He's a great addition to this offense. He was last year, and then he's really implemented into a role of going across the field, meeting linebackers, and just running past corners and finding a way to get 10, 15 yards a catch. Did have a big touchdown in that game, but I feel like he's a guy you want to keep your eye on for this offense, and you wonder, like, will he be now the role, and then, like, I don't know, take the role away from Amon-Ra, or were they like a Puka, Nakua, Cooper Cup situation on the other side where you just have two stars and one guy's going to go crazy and the other guy's just going to be quiet, but it could rotate easily?
Yeah, the Rams had a really nice game plan to shut down Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta, but it just seems like they forgot. There's like, hey, this guy that has been dampered by injuries and suspensions, Jamison Williams, by the way, he's still out on the field. You guys forgot about him. David Montgomery can start almost half the teams in the NFL, but he's, the second, but he's still splitting reps with Jahmyr Gibbs, two top 32 running backs in this league on the same team, and they both have great games. So I don't know. They shut down two, but then they let up three amazing games.
Yeah, and then they basically couldn't stop the running game.
So let's go ahead. Let's stick with the NFC. Let's change it up this week. So, NFC scoreboard on the screen, of course, we have to talk about the Eagles and the Falcons first. I don't really think this is going to be a close game, Easton, with the way that the Eagles offense looked and the way that the Falcons offense looked. I'm not certain about this one. Give me the Eagles by 16.
I'll do the Eagles by 10. If they can't stop Saquon, they're not stopping this offense.
So the Cardinals and the Rams. I know you're pretty high on the Cardinals, so I'm not fully certain what you're going to do here. I am going to take the Rams, though. I think that they looked okay against the Lions, but obviously that's our Super Bowl pick.
Yeah.
Both of us picked the Lions to win the Super Bowl. So I am going to take the Rams. I'm going to say 10 points.
I'm going to take the Cardinals by 3 this week. I mean, I feel like if they're able to implement Marvin Harrison in the offense like the way they should with a first-round pick of his talent, they will find a way to win. I mean, the Rams did look really well. Jared Verse was able to get to Jared Goff, but I feel like this Arizona team's able to beat them just barely.
The Packers hosting the Colts. This is an interesting one. Willis is starting for Green Bay. I'm not confident in him. I don't think he's going to score very many times. I think they're going to lean on Josh Jacobs all game. Give me the Colts by 7 points on the road.
I really liked him out of college, Malik Willis, and I feel like he has all the talent you want. It's if he's able to make the reads, and I feel like he's finding a way to beat Anthony Richardson this week. Giving him by 4, I feel like this is going to be a good game. If Jordan Love was at quarterback, I don't think this one's close.
49ers going to Minnesota. Don't think this one's going to be close. I will take the 49ers by 18.
Yeah, I agree with that one. 49ers looked unstoppable week 1. I feel like they're going to continue that momentum. Give me them by 14. But I feel like, though, they're a sneaky team, the Vikings. Sam Darnold played really well, as well as Justin Jefferson.
That's a really great waiver wire pickup for deeper leagues. Like, if you're doing a one-quarterback league with 10 to 14, Darnold is somebody that you should probably look at, especially if he plays well against the 49ers. He's definitely getting picked up next week. So, interesting work by Darnold. We'll see if that continues. Cowboys hosting the Saints. Both had amazing games this past week. 40-17 for the Saints, 33-17 for the Cowboys. But the Cowboys played a better team and 10 times the team. Like, if the Browns and the Panthers matched up, that would be a 20-point win for the Browns. So, I think it just goes to show the Saints have an okay team this year. I feel like I've definitely underrated them, but I still don't think that they're going to make the playoffs, I feel like with Derek Carr playing so good, okay, he played the Panthers. So I am going to take the Cowboys by 14 in this one, 2 touchdowns. It's an interesting game. We'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, I have the Cowboys winning as well. But did you see the video of, I scored 3 touchdowns on you? Like, he pointed and said, I scored 3 touchdowns.
I didn't see that one, no.
Panthers guy was talking trash. But I feel like this Cowboys team is going to be unstoppable. I mean, I'd say it's going to be probably a 7-point game, a touchdown swing. But I wouldn't be shocked if they're able to pull it off. They looked really flawless week 1. And, they could always keep that momentum against the Cowboys, who did play really well. But, obviously every team had mistakes week 1.
So, Lions versus Buccaneers. This is going to be our NFC game of the week. Very interesting one. Buccaneers look great. So, the Lions looked really solid too. I think the Rams are a playoff team. So, for what it's worth, I feel like the Lions did pretty well. They're hosting again, so I think that's a pretty big thing in my eyes, having home field advantage. I will take Detroit by 5 points.
This one is hard to decide between because they're both teams I really like. That Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield combo is really good, but all those weapons on the Lions, they're just all hard to really stop. So give me the Lions, but I feel like it's going to come down to a game-winning field goal last drive, 2-point lead for the Buccaneers, and they win by 1.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. AFC scoreboard, let's just start in the bottom right of the scoreboard this time. Baltimore Ravens against the Las Vegas Raiders. This is going to be a blowout. 21-point win for the Ravens in my book.
I think it's going to be a 10-point win. I feel like the Ravens are going to come out ready to go after losing a close one to the defending Super Bowl champs. I feel like this game's not going to be close, but it's going to be close on the scoreboard.
Okay, Patriots versus Seahawks. Patriots hosting. Very interesting game. Obviously I'm doubting both teams this year, and I've said that. I'm going to take the Seahawks by 3 points in this one. I think this is going to be a close game. I don't know, though. I do see a way for the Patriots to win this game.
I talked myself into it. I initially had the Seahawks winning, but I feel like the Patriots are going to find a way to win this one. I mean, the Bengals did struggle, but the Patriots were able to capitalize on their mistakes where they did. So I feel like the Patriots are going to win by 3 points. That's my lucky number, so I feel like I just got to do it.
Texans and Bears. Titans offense is not perfect. It really isn't, and that's very obvious. The Bears had 3 defensive touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
So
special team defensive touchdowns.
Okay, yeah. 3 touchdowns that were not the offense. That's what I'm trying to say here. The defense is not going to play that good against the Texans. The Texans are just way better. So when we talk about this game, I don't understand if you say that it's going to be closer than the Texans by 24. Like, if the Bears cannot score, you're going to see like a 27-3 win by the Texans here. So, it's an interesting game. It really is. We're gonna see the Bears struggle, I think.
That makes a lot of sense, though. Caleb Williams wasn't really able to move the ball, even though he gets credit for it. I mean, I do like the Bears team, but I don't think they're able to win this one. So I think they're going to lose by, give me a 14-win margin because the Texans' offense did look really well week 1.
Jags and Browns. This is going to be a barn burner. This was in question for being, AFC game of the week. I do think that we have 2 better games than this, so that's why we're talking about it fourth. The Jags, they really had opportunities last week to beat the Dolphins and just couldn't do it. But the Browns were just blown out of the water. And, we keep talking about how bad the Browns looked. I'm going to take the Jags by 9 in this one. Interesting number. I don't know. I think if Travis Etienne really turns it on, I think it's just going to be different this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jacksonville we had opportunities to win that game and just seal it. They were just unable to, so I feel like they're able to seal this one. Give me them by a touchdown. I feel like it's going to be a competitive game. Deshaun Watson may get back into the rhythm that we knew he could do like he did in Texas, but I just don't think he is.
Chiefs and Bengals, obviously, now that I say it here, you guys know that's not the AFC game of the week. I don't think it is because the Bengals are still going to be bad for a few weeks. I don't think that T. Higgins is playing this week. I think he's still got a week or 2 out. So, if the Bengals are losing 16-10 to the New England Patriots, what are they going to do with the Chiefs? I'm going to take Kansas City by 14 in this one. I'm just not confident with the Bengals in this one.
I'm not confident in the Bengals with this one at all. I feel like the Chiefs are going to come out on a roll, but I feel like it's just a big matchup, though. Teams look forward to this, so I feel like the Bengals are just going to throw their best, and you never know. What if the Bengals were focused on another week ahead instead of actually focused on the Patriots? Maybe it's one of those situations. So maybe give me the Chiefs by 3, I'd say. I feel like that's the option to go with.
AFC game of the week, Thursday night, Dolphins versus Bills. Raheem Mostert, I obviously said, is out of the game. So we're going to see A-Chain and Jeff Wilson is his name, right? I keep forgetting while I'm talking about it. So those two are going to get main reps. Waddle went into concussion protocol. He came back, though, right? He got cleared?
I think so.
Okay, so Waddle obviously will be in this game. But the Bills are just different. They always are, Even with losing Diggs, they show that they're just fine. Josh Allen injured his left hand, got cleared. I think that'll put a damper on him. So I will take the Bills by 7 points, just a touchdown win.
I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to this one. Josh Allen kind of surprised me. I didn't think they were going to be able to come back after a large deficit like that, but he took the game into his control, did rush for a couple touchdowns, did make some good throws. So I feel like this team is a winning team, I guess I would say. So give me the Buffalo Bills by, I would say, 7. I feel like this one's going to be a really close game, but I feel like the Bills are just going to be able to outdo them in the later quarter.
Do you want to talk about fantasy before we leave?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Give me 3 players that you should probably drop. Any 3 players.
Any 3 players
in the
to
NFL.
drop.
3 players to drop, and 3 players that you should be looking to add.
Well, I know one player I want to drop right now is Ramadunze. He really didn't perform for me. He was one of my big guys, but I was the same with Justin Jefferson. He didn't perform early on, and then I was just kind of overlooking him, and then he goes crazy, and Cody picks him up. But another player, I feel like Gabe Davis is a player to keep on your team, and he's going to surprise a lot of people. I feel like that's a guy who was a key role for Buffalo, and I feel like he's going to find a key role for Jacksonville. Oh, man, 3 players. This is hard.
Maybe 2. Yeah, just keep it 2 and 2.
Okay. Maybe if Christian McCaffrey's still out, keep Mason. He performed for me this week. I would keep him on your lineup because CMC is known for injuries, and he's going to be banged up here and there. But when he's on your team and he's playing, you're expecting a lot. And then dropping a player, I really haven't thought of a player to drop. Who are you thinking?
So, somebody that comes to mind for me to drop, it's looking like Kirk Cousins right now.
That's a good option.
He played really bad, and I'm more for talking about the players to pick up right now that probably should be picked up if they're not in your league. But for another player, if you were to drop him, it's got to be Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's an interesting one. If you've got him on your team, probably get rid of him because Levis showed that he's not going to throw it to Boyd. It was mainly Ridley getting the snaps. Even DeAndre Hopkins didn't get very many targets this week. So Boyd is kind of one that you can get rid of. If I were to go with a third, look for Mike Williams. I drafted him just before the 200 spot in the draft. He was on a pitch count this week. He only played 8 snaps. So players to add this week, Easton, number 1 on my list, it has to be Jaleel McLaughlin. The production was there. The point total obviously wasn't because he was getting those receptions from Bo Nix, but not getting very many yards. But if he's going to continue to be used in the passing game like that, sky's the limit for Jaleel. Another add, it has to be Wan'Dale Robinson. This is an interesting one. I actually was able to get him in the league. And Wan'Dale, he has a bad quarterback, Daniel Jones. But he was top 10 in target shares this week in the whole entire league. So he had over 30%. I want to say it was 32% of targets for the New York Giants this week. That was a third of the targets went to Wan'Dale Robinson. So if you're going to buy in on a wide receiver, it needs to be Wan'Dale. Somebody to stay away from on the waivers, it may be Alec Pierce. At first, I was like, I gotta get him. I was drooling, but then I sat back and I thought about it. He had 3 targets, and he got all those yards because he had 2 deep balls. If he's not getting those deep balls, what's he for? And Josh Downs is coming back soon, so Pierce is going to move just a little bit down in the lineup, get maybe 1 less target a game. So if you're talking about that, then he's getting 2 targets a game. So maybe stay away from Pierce, but that's all we've got for today.
Just like last week, who's going to lose. The Giants are going to find a way to lose week 2, 0-2, to that 0-17 season.
Yep. Commanders by 14. is what I'm going to take. So high school tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I went 30-12 last week, Easton. Looking to bounce back a little bit. I was fresh off of 36-6 and then got 12 wrong. So, obviously that's not terrible, but my win percentage went down from 85 to 78. I got to keep it above 80 in my books, which is a really tough thing to do, but we'll
Gotta
see.
pass.
We'll see how I do. But this is all we've got for today. It's been Missouri Sports Talk. We'll see you next time.